Are we still get solid waste here? I'm just making sure, why is everybody sniffing about that? Would you quit talking trash?
That's a good question, Commissioner, thank you.
I didn't even have it or not.
Who's the chairman in here?
That would be me.
Can you remove him?
It's not my meeting until 2:30.
It's actually 2:30, the clock seems a little slow.
Oh, it is 2:30. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Let's see, Danny's, Larry said he wouldn't be here.
I've done
Have
that
you heard
twice.
from Bob?
I have not heard from Bob.
Hello, Commissioner, Civil Bond Trent.
No, Mr. Adams.
Listen, you called you Mr. Said what you doing? You was talking to Danny, right? You said Mr.
There's your smiling there, see, look at her.
You got it.
She's smiling.
You love us, people. We don't matter what you think. You do
You
love
might
us.
want to stay as far away from us as you can get.
I am. There's a reason for this.
Hey, Mike,
My
told me.
mother says I should be ashamed to be a part of it.
Now, your mother is a fine lady,
Yes, she is.
and what she called me, that boy.
What you call you?
Yes, yes.
That's a little question, what you call you?
No, her mother and I go way back.
Mike told me the other day, said, when he said, all right, we got a problem. I said, what? He said, aliens have taken over and abducted people. I said, what do you mean? He said, Sybil talked to me the other day, dude. He said, Sybil sat down and talked to me the other day. He said, I know it wasn't her. He said, aliens have taken over her body. Made her talk to me. He was making a joke. He said, Sybil don't ever talk to me after the meeting. He said, she usually leaves real fast. I said, maybe she's going to kill you, son. You think
All right.
Talk to you usually means I don't like it.
2:30, it's 2:32. We're gonna call the meeting of the Personnel Committee
Okay.
for May 1st, 2019 to order. I have not heard from Bob Edens, but he may walk in at any time. Sarah, could you call the roll, please?
Danny Alves,
Here,
Larry Klontz, Mark DeWitt,
Here.
Bob Edens, Dawson Fields,
Here.
Tom Kern,
Here.
Sybil Von Trent.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 members present constituting a quorum.
All right, let's let the record reflect we've got a quorum and we can move forward. First order of business is the approval of minutes from the May 1st, 2019 meeting.
so
Got a motion for approve, for Commissioner Alves and second by Commissioner Fields. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right, motion passes and the minutes from May 1 are approved. Next, we'll move down into the order of business and we'll hear from Mayor Lee.
Can we do one for your show? Afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'll let you know while we're here, I'm asking for some extra help here in the office. Administrative building. We've got a problem here and it's existed for many years. If, for instance, I'm gonna use Teresa, if she's out, for an extended period of time, nobody gets payroll check. If Teresa's out for an extended period of time, and you have a problem with your insurance, there's no one to contact. That can be serious. So, we desperately need someone here at Cross-Train to be able to do each individual job in an office. None of them are the same like some other offices in the county. Every job here is different. And, I'll let Eric go with the numbers here, but as you can see on the sheet we provided, we've already saved 43,000, plus a couple other things. We've already saved 43,000 out of the budget here. So, that along with, taking away the part-time help here, it's actually not gonna cost the county anything. And I'll let, Eric do the numbers, what you got being questioned.
If everyone wants to grab that other sheet there that I passed out, potential new employee for mayor's office. We'll take a look at that one real quick.
Mayor, was the part-time, it was only designated for the 6 or 7 month transition period, wasn't it?
I'm not sure how y'all did that on the line, so I wasn't here then.
There was an existing part of part-time, which would pertain to Miss Evelyn, which was a permanent part-time. Then there, last year in the budget, there was additional part-time granted for Savannah to train. So yes, I don't think that was ever intended to be a permanent position.
So when we were in the budget hearings and meetings, we're trying to decide whether, was that $30,000 taken out of the budget officially?
No, it has not been taken out officially.
Okay, so some people seem to think that there was a commissioner that made a motion to remove it, and it got removed from, but since you're putting the budget together, you've got the official answer to that.
We spoke with said commissioner yesterday because there was a discrepancy, and during that time, there was a lot of questions that nobody had answers to at the time. And so what the chair did at that time was ask if he was content with moving on and leaving it as the 3574 that is being removed on there as is, which is what we're asking for, less this year than last year.
That, I didn't bring my book in, but I didn't see it. I struck out things that we removed and changed numbers, and that one wasn't struck out for some reason, and I just,
There was no additional changes made. We
Okay.
were gonna have this meeting, vet this issue out,
Okay.
and then
Good
move
deal.
forward. When we do our review of the second draft, it won't still be in here. It'll be on here, like we saw other offices making new requests.
okay,
And then, based on what budget committee recommends, it'll be in our third draft. But this is the first step it had to proceed through, had to be
Okay.
blessed by this.
I didn't mean to drag this out or interrupt, but I just wanted to make that clear, so.
No,
You
absolutely.
wanna go ahead and explain the potential new employee figures here?
The potential salary grade was established to be an 8. There you'll see two different columns or rows, excuse me, for step 1 or step 2 on the, and these numbers are based on the potential that the new salary scale will continue to progress through its steps here. If it does not, then we'll have to back up and apply this to the old one. But
Okay,
it was implemented to go forth for a second draft for calculus purposes, so that's how I've designed this as well.
sure.
Next to that, you'll see the hourly rate of pay, salary, hourly rate of pay, social security, state retirement, life insurance, unemployment, workers' comp, and what we put in there was a single medical insurance. Now, of course, that is subject to change. They may already have insurance, may not need it, or they may take employee children, employee spouse, family, but that's undetermined until you hire somebody. So at the very end there, you'll see the total cost of new employee, based if they're a step 1 or step 2. The part-time money that is asked to be surrendered back, you'll see there that is an offset. So you're looking at cost of new employee for step 1 or step 2 there at $9,704 or $11,106. And then underneath that, I put in there the amount that this year we're requesting less than last year. Just as a tidbit there to see that the mayor's office is trying to run as frugally as possible. Any questions on that sheet and how it's put together?
Not on that one, Eric. but
Okay.
the Mayor, and you may have covered this, and I may have missed it while I was reading this. Employee-wise, the way it's always been versus now, do you have the same employee we've always had? I mean, are we down employees, as far as in this office? Is it for, like, say, we want to cross-train, and are you want to cross-train in everybody's job, like Sarah's job, Trish's job, Marvin, like?
No, mainly just the financial part of it, and the insurance, is real important.
So is the cross-training person, is this somebody that you're wanting day in, day out, or just, I'm gonna call them once in a blue moon to
It'll be full-time.
be full-time?
Yeah, and then while they're not doing that, then, they can be doing some grant writing, some other tasks.
Well, I asked my question wrong, that's what I meant, I mean, is this somebody gonna do the same job all
They're
the
gonna
time?
be busy, Troy, gonna be.
One other thing, if I could add on that, where we're not doing the park reservations here, we have the same number of people, but we've also had additional duties on us. And so that person has not been able to do some of the things that position used to do to help out some of the other staff. So that's something else we'd like to have this person do if it was granted.
What have we added to this office?
This office now handles all park reservations, but that
Right.
used to have been happening at
Laurel Run.
Laurel Run, Park. Correct, sir.
We're also getting into the business of selling some county property too, which is eating a lot of time up.
And
Something we
delinquent tax
need to do.
property.
That's what I was, there's like the tax, I mean, how are we pushing taxes and stuff now, I mean,
Yes, I've seen some receipts come through last month in May, and I've heard that there's more to come this month as well. So yeah, I think we're moving property at a better rate than we have in the past. And again, like the mayor said, that takes time, and so every time somebody else is doing that, there's something else that's falling behind on a little bit, so.
This person would have to be multi-talented, wouldn't they?
Yes,
Do you have anybody in mind?
no, especially at that price.
That's what I was
That's-
saying, you're looking for somebody that's, can do just about anything
For nothing.
for nothing. Do you feel like, for instance, Eric, if this person cross-trained into your job, there's a lot of stuff there that has to be done. I mean, is somebody gonna be able to just cross-train and maybe do it once and then pick right up if, God forbid, there's an emergency of some kind? I mean, that's kind of what this is gonna be. If somebody's gone in an emergency situation, because you can always plan vacations, things like that, but it's an emergency situation. How familiar is everybody else with everybody else's job where they can help that person kind of catch back up with what they learned? Am I making sense?
Yeah, now, and that's a fair question. I think, one of the things there that you have to understand is Evelyn has already kind of been that jack of all trades who can do everything in here. But, you know, obviously because of her age, we know that we're not gonna have her forever. And so if somebody else doesn't start learning those things when that day comes, we're gonna be in trouble. As far as my job goes, I don't know if they would fill in for me as much as they would some of the other people. I would always just probably plan around some of my deadlines. But, you know, as the mayor spoke on, some of the other deadlines, you know, we can't do anything about. And so if Teresa was to have a bereavement leave or any emergency come up during the payroll still has to be addressed.
Yeah.
And so one of my thoughts, and I don't know if I've ran this by the mayor or not, but one of my thoughts was to help keep that person fluent in that. You know, there's multiple payrolls that we run. And so maybe this person would always run a particular payroll so they would stay, you know, up to date and current in that information so that when the time comes for them to fill in, they wouldn't be doing something that they did once 9 months ago.
Well, for example, I've watched Teresa come in here late in the evening, her be sick or have sickness in the family. That's just not fair, that's not right.
Right. Let me ask you a question on this savings sheet. And we got 43,571, which we're saying will more than offset what the additional is gonna be. On this savings, is that true bottom line savings, or is that something that some of these lines will replace with something else that would make this figure a little bit different?
That is not my document, unfortunately, so I can't speak intelligently on that one.
That is true bottom line savings. Some of those are actually in the county buildings budget, if you will, the first two, I think, sorry, I didn't give myself one.
That's all right, AT&T.
The first two are AT&T phone bills that we make some adjustments on. We've reduced that bill. One of the bills, we reduced $1,300 a month. That's $16,526 for a year, just on the phone bill alone. We had 12 lines that we were being billed $145 each. And I've worked with AT&T and they took those lines down to the state rate, which is $31 each.
Okay.
So that's going to be all year from now out until they increase their. The other AT&T bill was solid waste. It was the solid waste telephones. They also had one line that was being charged $145 a month. We reduced that to $31. We also reduced some of the senior citizens phone bills. The Centos is uniforms. We no longer have uniforms for the county buildings. We purchased T-shirts for all the employees. The employees didn't like their uniforms. They weren't having them laundered. They were doing them themselves. So we were paying $2,000 a year for a uniform to be laundered that they weren't even using. So we took $500 and bought them all a T-shirt. So we're no longer using that.
So for budgeting purposes then, are we gonna take money from those lines that we're saving from for the upcoming budget and shift before we approve that budget, or are we just gonna roll with it the way it is? That's more of a Eric question.
Some of these are fairly recent developments.
Yeah.
A lot of times we like to recognize the savings after they've happened. We don't like to necessarily predict them. Now, some of these things that she's reduced that are concrete, phone bills, I would be comfortable adjusting those in the budget. So I would have to just look at each one of those line by line and make sure that we can safely do so. I don't want to be overly aggressive.
This is gonna go down a whole lot better with everybody else that's not sitting in this room if the money's already shifted over.
I don't see anything here that you couldn't already do.
At a glance, it didn't sound like it, but I
Your
just,
life and casualty definitely can be done, the local, government corporation can be
The
done.
support for local government.
Um,
The computer replacement, I think that's something you could hold on. I know we replaced computers, whether they die or not, on a schedule.
We're
We
not
didn't
doing that.
replace any this year, but in case you need to,
Well, I know you talked about that before, Mayor, as far as, contracts with the computer system and all that kind of stuff. And I know you know more about the inner workings. It just kind of scares me because there's a lot of software that's kind of proprietary that they won't let you put on just any computer.
This doesn't have anything.
That doesn't have anything to do with
This is
that.
only hardware.
Okay. But at the same time, if it's gonna run software that our provider has, then they're gonna have to okay that computer. A lot of times it's contractual that you run the software on the computer that they provide, and that it's expensive. That's where they make some of their money. But, if you've got that in hand, and I'm talking too much, you all let me know what you think.
Basically, what we're doing on the computer part of it, we're not even talking about the support part. We dropped, $8,000 on the support. We were paying, my computer, for instance, on my desk, is a Cube. It costs $365 new.
Mm.
We're paying $25 annual support on that thing. You could go buy one every year. And just ridiculous charges.
Yeah.
It's been going on for years. And,
Yeah.
and here, in the past, they replaced 3 computers a year. 3 computers every year, whether you need to or not.
Mhm.
That's a waste.
Yeah. And they're not getting any cheaper.
No. So, and we've got 7, 8 in the vault, spares, so we're in good shape.
So, Eric, I've got your savings, your yearly savings right here, on what you're saving on. And the new person coming in will start out at what salary? What is that beginning salary on that?
salary grade 8, step 1 is 29,417.
29?
29,417, step 2 is 3635.
Correct.
30 sounds better when you recruit somebody.
Yeah, and there's not that much difference right there.
Mr. Eric, on this pay scale that's being considered, where would this employee fall out on it?
No, that's what this is on. This is based on,
No, I'm talking about if it's implemented over the 3-year period, what would it be after 3 years?
they would progress. If they were hired in as a 8-1, in 3 years, they'd be an 8-4. If they were hired in as 8-2, they'd be an 8-5 in 3 years. This would be somebody who's not having to be caught up. They would be hired in under it and then progress through it accordingly. The
But
3-year
their salary would be
implementation,
affected by the third, because it would go into effect.
yeah, the
Yes.
3-year, exactly. The 3-year implementation is for a conversion.
So we're looking at maximum, basically what you might call out of pocket, $11,106.
And that's me being conservative, not recognizing any of the savings
And you'd say,
that Jim and Sarah
That
have
has
presented
nothing to do
today.
with the cost crash.
Yeah, I didn't factor that into my sheet, so
Right.
if you factor that in as well,
so if there's savings, we can move over to the salaries line in the county mayor's office then.
most of those savings, like you said, originated from county buildings, but it's all coming from the same fund.
Right.
Same here, it's all coming from this office. It's like, and I know you've been through it, and I appreciate your due diligence, and Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you too, but, one of you go through again, sell me why you need somebody else again. Tell me, walk me through it, line by line, I know you got people gonna be out and doing this, when there's nobody out, I mean, you know, you take like, we're handling the park stuff right now. How much park stuff are we handling? What this person, if everybody's at work every day, all day long, this extra person, what will they actually be doing if, you know, I mean, if nobody calls in? Will they be helping somebody else get done early? Will it be, I mean, of course, the first 6 months to a year, or maybe have longer than that, it will be cross-training. If you're cross-training in every job, I mean, you know, you're gonna be doing a lot of it, but, what exactly, what's this person gonna do? I mean, what are they doing? There's nobody here doing it now, I guess is what I'm saying, so, what's this person gonna do? What's going on now with this person not here, and what's this person gonna do when there's nothing to do? I'm assuming there's always something to do, you know, but, does it make sense what I'm asking? Sell me this person, I mean, as good as you can anyway.
Is that question for me or for
Either one of you guys, it don't matter, sorry,
If you
it don't matter, but
you work back
it's an
there.
open question, when it's anybody, Bobo next if you want to.
You did a good
I
job.
challenge you to go to the parking lot here any day, there's somebody working over it every day,
And here,
every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the big things here. I mean,
just trying to get their daily stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely, and you know, when it's budget time like this, you know, I mean, we're busy through the year. On a boring month, there's no such thing really, but on any given month, we're busy. But when you throw in end of the calendar year, end of the fiscal year, during the budget cycle, which starts in March, doesn't really finish until August, there's no more days in the calendar, there's no more hours in the day, but yet we've got to get all these other things done. We've got to prep for all these meetings. I mean, there's a stack right now on my desk of things I need to be doing, but this was an important meeting, so I need to come join in and talk. There's no shortage of things to share and pass out and have somebody help if we're at full capacity. This office, I would say, is understaffed anyway, and so, and I know that, you know, Alana had been here for a long time, and when something else came up, she would just take it on. Evelyn did the same thing, you know, she worked here a lot of times from 8 to 8, and that was great, and that was a great sacrifice that they did, but at the same time, I think that may have slowed us down on getting some more staff that we should have had actually a long time ago. And so, even if we're at full capacity, you're not gonna see this person sitting around twiddling their thumbs. There's gonna be plenty for them to do. Teresa, like I said, used to have the former employee who was now doing the park reservations and the tax sales, used to help her with insurance. So there's nobody helping her right now with insurance. I can have them help me with cash receipts. I mean, there's plenty of things that we could keep this person rolling with. You won't see them idle.
And remember, Teresa's out for 2 months. There's no check for it for 2 months.
Did we replace Amanda? We didn't replace Amanda, did we, or
We did,
with Whitney?
Mhm.
So Whitney's doing exactly what Amanda was doing.
Not exactly,
Close
because,
more.
because that's when the park came in. So, you know, she caught the new park reservations, and she caught the push on the delinquent property tax sales. So she's kind of doing some different things, and doing everything that she did except for helping with the insurance.
Whitney's our only new employee, I mean. Sarah,
It's myself and Sarah.
I mean, you and Sarah,
Yeah.
but yeah, but y'all are new as far as, I mean, you know, you took somebody's place, I mean,
Right.
so Whitney really took Amanda's place, I mean.
Yes.
You know, so you're doing what Sarah's doing, Elena's, and Whitney's doing Amanda's, I mean,
Let me say this, I was the roaming clerk in Holly James's office for a long time. She had the same thing, even though most of the people in the office did legal functions, they were all totally different. So when we had 11 employees, so when someone was out on a vacation, I just stepped in and took their place. So I was cross-trained in every job in the office. And I was never without something to do. Someone was always out. We have 9 staff here.
8.
8 or 9. Someone's always out, someone's always on vacation, especially in the summer. Vacations come in the summer when we're trying to do budgets. And
Commissioner's calling in every day wanting something.
I feel like the employee will be kept busy. We need an employee just for meetings, minutes, agendas.
Civil, anything from me?
okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
after hearing this presentation, the only thing that I see would be the problem, if it's been justified, is to find the person that's going to be well-rounded to be able to do this at what we're offering. That to me seems to be, and having a look at that, I would entertain a motion that we move forward on this.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor that, move forward on adding this, employee to the mayor's office. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Is that the Lord seconding, right?
Thank you for the thunder. Okay, if there's no second, the motion's gonna die for lack of a second. All right, let's move on to the salary scale policy revision. I've passed out a couple of pages here. This is the policies that we included with the new scale, and Eric and I have talked several times about, he's down to the nitty gritty about seeing where people would fall on the scale, seeing how that everything would work out. And he and I agreed that there is a need for some clarification and an addition. And if you see on the third page in red, is an addition where that clarifies, well, it adds, if an employee leaves the county position in good standing, et cetera, and comes back, where they would pick up on that new salary scale. So, you all can read it. I don't, unless you need further explanation. Then there's a green section and green wording that basically clarifies that and explains it. Eric, do you have anything to add to that?
When we started looking at this, you know, Mr. Shanks and all the other elected officials, everybody worked on that policy manual. They wrote a great policy manual, and they brought it over here to Mr. DeWitt, and he's made some critiques to it and really improved it. But when we got to considering actually implementing it, there was just a few things that we wanted guidance on. The accounting department didn't want to be accused of ad-libbing and picking favorites. So this all this is we just wanted some farther clarification to guide us on how we were going to handle certain situations to make sure that we treated everybody fairly and the same. So that's all these are for. If anybody has any questions on that green paragraph, I know that may be a little interesting. If you've never worked on it before, I'll be happy to go farther detail, but all it is guiding us on how we're going to treat an employee who's left and came back in good standing, and put some restrictions on how that works.
Well, it's a living, breathing document, subject to change, because this is something new for us as far as moving people over to the scale, bringing people back in employment. There's liable to be any number of other things that come up that we have to clarify this, but I think that the main part of this is that for purposes of their new starting salary, employees being rehired will be credited actual employed years on the new pay grade scale for a time period up to 3 years. So if they were here for 5 years and left and came back, they get 3 years credit. If they were here for 3 years, they get 3 years on the new scale.
I'm not reading it that way.
Okay.
The way I'm reading it now, Commissioner, I could be wrong, but what I'm seeing here is if they stay gone for a period not to exceed 3 years, they can come back with their original seniority they had when they left. For a time period of up to 3 total years.
That's not the way it's meant, but that could be read that way, sir.
I'm comfortable with either. We just need to set it and go with it and make the wording such that there's, I want when we're done with this, everybody to read it and come up with the same thing. So if that was the impression you got, we need to make sure that we decide which way we want to go with it and stick with it.
Okay, let me kind of read through it.
Yes, okay.
There are occasions where an employee leaves a county position for any number of reasons and subsequently is rehired to either the position they left or a different one. For purposes of their new starting salary, in other words, when they come back, such employees being rehired will be credited actual employed years on their new pay scale, on the new pay grade scale for a time period up to 3 years. Now, you have to realize and remember that the new salary scale is based on years of employment. So when they come back, they're credited 3 years of previous, up to a total of 3 years of previous employment.
Even if they were here 10, they're only gonna get.
Correct. Correct. Now, I see the way you're reading it, Commissioner Alice, and we can certainly tweak it a little bit further. We don't have to approve this today.
No.
I just wanted you all to know that there's some changes in effect on this. And, you know, this will go in front of the whole commission when we talk about the budget anyway, so it'll be a month or two before we actually put it in front of all 21, although all 21 should have this already because we passed it out at the training sessions and so forth. But we can reword it. I see where you're coming from. We can reword it.
Only problem that I have with any of it, and I'm okay with giving 3 years to the point, but I guess, you know, as a business owner, people will leave me to go to the job and it don't work out, so they come back, knowing I need somebody.
Right.
So they come back 6 months, a year later, and, you know, the sheriff, I talked to him before I came over today, he lost 3 people in the last couple of weeks.
I heard that.
Very highly trained, I mean, been there for a while. Those 3 people are gonna go to other counties, other cities, and make better money, but they may get there and don't like it. 6 months later, and then they'll call the sheriff back, you know what, my new job just didn't what I thought it was gonna be, I don't like it. You know, not that I don't make a whole lot more money, but you know what, I'm not getting babied like I was here getting there. I'm not saying they do, but, you know, I mean, I'm not getting the same, you know, benefits that I was here there, you know, I don't like the people, or like this, or like that. So they're gonna come back, so, you know, my only problem is we're rewarding them for coming back because they quit us to start with. I mean, if we, I don't have a problem with paying somebody for what they're worth because they're trained, but starting somebody back over and giving somebody money, a certain part because they decided they just didn't like where they went when they quit us to start with, you know,
Okay, so using that same scenario though, let's say they were here for 4 years, and they're on that pay scale at 4-year level, and they leave for 6 months, then if we hire that position back at level 1, do they take that much of a cut in salary, or do they come back at the level they were at?
well, I mean, what if we replace them already and it's 2 years down the road? Is there a limit? Did I miss that? Is there a limit to how, no, I mean, we'll give them a limit, but if they're gone, is there a limit to how long they're gone that we will rehire them in a certain, I mean?
No, because there's only a 3-year, that 3-year credit is all that's there.
Yeah.
If they, you know, were gone for 10 years, they don't still only get 3 years.
But, you know, and
Whose discretion would this be left up to?
Well, it's employment records here in the mayor's office and the county offices. And that's what we're trying to pin down to, it wouldn't be a discretionary thing, it would be an objective thing because your hire date's your hire date regardless. And we don't want to put somebody in a position to say, well, you know, you need to be here coming back. We want them to know exactly where they should be on that salary scale.
And I agree, I understand that, so you take, the person who needed a job and filled this person's shoes, who came in where they were at with no credit, no time. And you know, and they're decided to stay here, they put down roots in our county, they're gonna stay here, they're not gonna leave us for somebody else. And then we bring somebody back in who left us to go somewhere else to better themselves, and I don't blame anybody for better themselves, that's awesome, that's great. But, you know, they left us and then they decided to come back, and now they're making more money than the person who started a year ago.
Well, yeah, that's true,
That would be
but
my-
they have that year, those years of service too. And, you know, if you want to not do
Makes
that,
sense.
we'll not do that, that's fine. And if you want me to reword it somehow, I can do that and get it back to you at the next meeting.
I don't think we need to do it. That would be no different than Dodge is a big old machine shop, same way TRW, there's a big machine shop. And if I retired or left Dodge and went to TRW, I shouldn't be able to count my 25 years experience when I went in down there for the benefit purpose. Because I chose to leave. When someone leaves, that's their discretion. They're leaving for a purpose. And I don't blame anyone for making more money. I'm sort of like Commissioner Fields, though, I don't think they need to be rewarded when they come back. And we've already hired that position in, and,
Okay.
I just looked at the person who got hired in at the bottom, you know, and you needed a job, and they were like, you know, I'm just as qualified maybe, or maybe they came from somewhere else, and and they came here because, you know, not necessarily make more money, but they like Rogersville, they like Hawkins County, and they came here.
Certainly not gonna come to a county job to make a whole lot.
That's true, man. You're right about that. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they came here, just, you know, maybe they had a reason to move to Hawkins County, and we hired them in, but then we hired the person who'd been gone for, you know, 4 or 5 years, or maybe been here 10 years, we hired that person back, you know, make more money than them, you know, I don't know, it's a catch-22, 6 1, half dozen others probably, but.
The sheriff had an employee leave to go to Hamlin County, and he didn't like it and come back. He came back within 3 months. I'd like to ask him how he started his pay back out.
Well, that wouldn't bother, you know, if we had a time limit, if you were gone for X amount of time and came back,
Maybe up to 6 months.
I don't know, I mean, Commissioner DeWitt, you put everything into this stuff, and I'm proud of it. You're an awesome commissioner when you do this stuff, and you put everything into it, and I hate to even ask questions about most of it.
No, I wish you would.
But you do, I mean, you
Please.
do an awesome job putting, now you're all into this stuff, you know, and,
Well,
you know, when I read over it.
I'm doing this at the direction of you all. I'm not doing it to please myself, so you all as a committee, tell me what you think, tell me if you wanna revise it, if you wanna strike it, if you wanna think about it. I'm open to anything on it.
May I say something?
Certainly.
Excuse me. At Eastman, when you quit and came back, after you worked a certain number of years again, you got your length of service back.
Okay.
So like if you left and got a year and you came back, you might have to work, I believe it was 3 years in order to regain.
And then they added back what you had
Added back.
for benefits purposes, probably.
For benefits purposes.
After you came back and worked a while, right?
Yes.
So that's harder to do. I know that they do that, but that's harder to do with a salary.
Yes.
Chairman, my thoughts on that is that I don't disagree for somebody better than themselves and leaving for a better job. We can't quarrel about that, and we ought to sort of break up and say, well, we're proud that we trained you to be able to do that somewhere else. Now, making a mistake and coming back would be, I don't have a problem of understanding the person's ability, their knowledge of this job, et cetera. But also, with a factor that I think we all ought to consider would be the need. You know, it doesn't give you just a thing to leave and then come back at your discretion. Do we need this person? You know, what's the deal there? I think that would set in motion about how this thing is played out. But I don't have a problem with bringing somebody back if the need is there.
I don't think anybody would hire somebody unless they need it. I mean, they would be looking for someone.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying how,
Yeah.
you know, it's all got to be approved in the end.
God still doesn't like it.
Have a motion to adjourn.
I stand in line, like Commissioner Alves said, you know, I wouldn't care to, if we could, establish this for a while or something, maybe a few weeks or another month or something. And I wouldn't mind to talk to the sheriff.
Okay.
And see how, you know, what, I mean, not just him, I mean, any office holder that's had to do this, I mean, as a business owner, I've hired people back in that have been with me for years and they've left and went somewhere else, like Commissioner Kern said, and like I said earlier, I'm behind anybody for bettering themselves. I mean, it don't matter if it's a quarter or 50 cents, I'm behind anybody for bettering yourself. But you know, if you leave my establishment and you come back 3 or 4 years later, I'm probably not starting you back, unless cost of living went up where it was at. You know, you may get lucky, but you're starting back at the bottom. You know, I may bring you back in a little bit above the bottom, but that's because I don't have anybody at the bottom. If I had somebody at the bottom, I wouldn't bring you back any more than him, you know, and that's the only thing I have with it. It sounds awesome, everything looks good on it, but I worry about the repercussions of somebody coming back and saying, well, I've been here 2 years now, and they were gone for 5 years, and they get 3 years credit. Can I have 3 years credit too, since I've been here and I stayed
And
here?
I don't disagree with that, but we're assuming that that person is gonna be doing the same job as the guy you hired in. So there's different levels of where you bring people
And
in.
this may not ever happen. Nobody may not ever come back, why they would. I don't
That's
know.
true, but we just wanted something
There's always
as a guideline to know what to do.
Yeah, we have to know, yeah.
I'd like for the rest of the commissioners to offer some input on it too, Commissioner DeWitt.
Okay,
Because anytime there's more people looking at it,
sure. So are you suggesting I send this out to everybody, or?
That'd be all right.
Along with, if you don't care, along with the copy of that pay scale, because I don't think some commissioners have that.
They all should have it, because it's been passed out, but I'll be happy to send it.
I think it was passed out today, everyone was in attendance here, weren't they?
And at the bus shop that day, that everybody was there were a couple of them that weren't there that day. And I think, Spanky Tally wasn't there because of deaths in his family. But let's do that. I'll take this, the whole packet that I gave out, let's do that. Let's just email that whole packet out with these suggested changes. And I'll put a note on it that says, here's what we're looking at, and we're soliciting your feedback. I don't think that violates any sunshine. Just discussion.
Commissioner Silver's motion there for recommendation too. you know.
Yeah, I like that idea, but how do we translate that to salary?
Yep,
Because
figure that out.
say you were making, for illustration purposes, $10,000, and you were gone and you came back and you're making $7,000, and then that period of time, that waiting period, you get back to that $10,000, or, you know, what happens that way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of loopholes that could be jumped through on this one.
Yeah.
And what Commissioner Trent said, you know, makes sense. What you said makes sense. All of them make good sense. It's just there's some loopholes that I think we need to carry.
Okay.
Good job.
All right, so we'll take no action on that other than, you know, we'll get it back out to everybody.
What are we looking at timeline wise to reconvene and, I mean, we have some time, but I don't wanna push it out too far
Right.
because in the event that everything keeps progressing.
Let me try and get it out this week and have the responses back by 2 weeks from when I get it out.
Okay.
And then that should give them things like that I've done before. I may get 1 or 2 responses. But we'll see what happens. And then we'll have time for another personnel committee meeting before the actual budget is.
That's my concern. I just wanna make sure we have this done in the event that it passes.
Right.
I gotta have something that governs me on how to
Right.
implement it.
Right. Well, you've got pretty much what you need as far as putting people on the scale now, right?
Correct. There's just a few oddballs that I need some help with, and so
Okay.
there'll be a little variance still. The
You call
numbers
the
are still a
county
moving
employees
target.
oddballs, or, I didn't say that.
Hey,
Any other business?
yeah, actually, I got, going back right quick, if it's okay,
Yeah.
to the employee, in the mayor's office. I'm not, I personally just need a little bit more time to think of, and to talk and to get some more things in my head. I'm not totally against that, for listening to you three talk and, you know, everything else. I'm not against it, and the reason I didn't say it is because I've got some, you know, questions in my head that I'm not sure exactly, you know, how to ask, or if it even makes sense to ask, or anything else. I would not be opposed to you guys bringing this back, you know, a few weeks, a month,
What
whatever.
about if we do this, Commissioner Fields?
What could we tell you different than we've already told you?
I don't know, Mayor. I mean, I know that
Are we
sounds
missing
crazy. I just,
What if we do this, and Eric is in the middle of a lot of moving figures in that budget? Is there a way we could maybe, for calculation purposes, put this in there? And then, when the budget's approved is when it's gonna be approved.
I ran out of time. I tried to get in here. I was working, get in here fast enough to talk to some of the girls out here. And that's what I went through that first, and I just ran out of time to get in here with you guys. And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to talk to everybody, know, what they thought, you know, where their mindset was on it. I mean, I don't know if you need somebody or not, you know, and I gotta take your word for it. And that's the reason I'm not against doing whatever to think about it, or to, bring it back, or even to say, hey, listen, here's where it's at. I just needed some more info in my own mind. And like I said, I wish I knew the questions I asked you guys and ladies to get my clarification. I just don't, at this moment, you know, to clarify my mind one way or the other, to get it there, you know. But I wouldn't be opposed to it coming back up, you know, if you need to, you know, when, like Commissioner DeWitt said, by doing something here.
My experience has been, once it's put in there, it never comes out.
Okay.
That's right.
So, I wouldn't be in favor of putting it in there for budget purpose, documentary or whatever, because once it's in there, it never comes out.
We've seen that,
Sorry,
we have seen that.
yes, ma'am.
I mean, you guys know a lot more, you two have been here a lot longer than the rest of us, I mean, so you and Danny both probably senior commissioners as far, been here longer than anybody, I guess, I mean, maybe,